What's going on? I'm Tony,
I'm Charlene.
and yes, let's go. Let's jump into what you're showing today.
Well, so obviously, since we've started, doing our channel, I get a lot more kind of couple stuff,
Mhm.
things relating to relationships in my Instagram feed, and some wild things have been coming up. But I thought this one was interesting, so I wanted to show you, see how you feel about it. Yeah, here we go. They've turned manipulation into an art form. They'll hit you with lines like, "It's a partnership." Translation, "I can't afford to lead, so I'm convincing you to settle for less." Times have changed. Women should help too. Translation, "I want the benefits of being a man without the burden of being a man." Money doesn't matter. Love does. Translation, "I'm broke, and I'm hoping you ignore that in the name of romance." They'll flip the script and shame you for having family.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, that last one in particular, what did he say? If a man says money doesn't matter, love does, that actually means that the man's saying, I'm broke and I want you to allow that in the name of romance. Thoughts?
my thoughts are so I've seen a lot of this. This is about this
It's
whole
a lot.
provision. You know, man must be a provider, and what how I feel about this is that I feel like most men naturally.
Mm,
I can only talk in general, yeah. In general, I know there's going to be some men who don't fall into this, but
mm,
most men naturally have the spirit of provision. They want to be as a man to provide, and when they're not, they don't feel like a man.
yeah, yeah,
And I feel like that narrative is driven by this the gap between what is required to provide today.
yeah,
He's talking about old school back in the 1950s. Men used to go to work and
yeah. That was the headline,
keep
isn't it?
keep a kept
Yeah.
home. And I'm saying, yeah, but back then people lived within their means, and to keep that kept home was something that his job as a hard-working man was
Mm,
able to achieve. Whereas now, a hard-working man can come home and not feel like a man or have these men chatting like he ain't a provider because the expectations are there. Social media has got women and people in relationships saying I want this. I should be like, oh, look at
mm,
them. They got this, that, that. Are you
yeah.
even a man? Are you
Even
a
just general cost of living.
yeah? General consider it's different. It's different now. So I think that's a dangerous narrative in terms of like dangerous for the men because for the men,
You could be like a hardworking man, even with a decent job, I suppose, and still financially fall short by today's standards.
and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or you coming
What and
home.
then what do you think is the impact on feeling like that?
I think it plays a role into the what's the word? Not emasculation. The emasculation of men. I feel like because we want to feel we all of these things we
Mm,
want to, but if you're being told that you're not by society, by your woman, the
yeah,
person who's closest to you, then what does that do to your manhood? How
yeah.
you feel, how you operate. They're saying suicide and all them things out of control. I'm not saying it's the only factor, but I wouldn't be surprised if
I
it plays a
definitely
role.
think
This
financial pressure on men these days, especially I think, if you watch social media anyway, it is, it's mad. I can't believe it. I've been so hit up this week, but like all these kind of demands or this sense that your man should be providing, not just providing for you, i.e., keeping a roof over your head, making sure everyone's fed, making sure everyone's got clothes on their back, but they should be able to provide designer bags, five-star trips, luxury cars. I think that the pressure to keep up with that, bearing in mind we
what
know that actually the 5% of people, it's probably less than 5% of people actually earn enough to
and
afford
that's
that.
the thing. It's like providing to whatever standard is not a problem.
Mm.
Would say it ain't tricking if you got it. If you got the peas, then do what you're doing. It's not. It's when the expectation is outside of the
Affordability.
affordability,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
not because you're slipping,
Mm.
because you're talking about this 5% group, yeah,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
you're going to the 95% and
They're coming
holding
with
them to the
them.
level of the 5%.
I think that is the problem. A lot of what we see online is, firstly, it's fake. I guess a lot of what we see, a lot of these people in relationships presenting this idea of, oh, my man buys me all these things and takes me all these places. Half the time it's not real. But secondly, it may be people who genuinely have a lot of money. Some men do make millions and millions of pounds. And I guess what they can provide, their level of provision, you can't now go to your man who's on an average or even above average. Bearing in mind, like in the UK, if you earned 80K, you're like top 2% earners. but that might not pay for that lifestyle, especially if someone wasn't working at all. So if they were like the 100% breadwinner, you would be on 80K, hard working, trying your thing, but someone's saying you're not providing.
You're brokey.
Yeah,
Mad.
that is
Mad.
pretty
Or
mad.
you don't care, or you're not a man.
Yeah.
I mean, comparing you, pocket watching some next couple or next man.
Speak.
That's
I mean, I learned a new word this week after I watched that. It's called rage baiting. And I think
God,
that,
what does it mean?
I guess, inciting rage. Or it's like, what's the word? Goading people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really all those sort of videos are for.
No,
I'm
but
guessing.
it's not just for that,
Because eventually, I guess, if you see it enough, you buy into it. And I think my kind of concern when I see that, I'm like, if women these days are putting like the primary, if not only criteria that a man provides financially, especially to this level, like what's all the things you're missing out on?
Well,
Not
he
things,
said,
people. What's all the
he said it
prospects,
there.
potential husbands?
He was saying that anything out of finance isn't.
He's
provision.
basically saying, yeah,
So there's no other forms of provision.
and we're going to genuinely say things like, you know, if a man said to you, come on, it's not really all about the money. What about the fact that we love each other? That's translation from broken. Like, really? That's wild to me. But I do worry that, because I think a lot of the time, people who watch those videos are potentially people who are seeking relationships. So if they're going in with that sort of mindset, imagine all the people you're dismissing. And you could just be, there's so much more, in my opinion anyway, to a relationship than financial provision. You know, what about companionship, friendship, laughter, genuine support, you know, somebody uplifting you and growing with you and making you feel worthwhile? What about all of those things? So I think if the only thing you're focused on is finance, even if you find that, you may find that's not really the best relationship anyway. And in the process, you're dismissing all these other people.
Well, on the flip side, if you're going to a man and it's only because of his finances, his financial ability to provide, to look after you, and that's his value, that's his only value to you, because you're discounting everything else. Trust me, that man ain't riding for you.
I don't know. I think some men,
some men that fulfills them, that makes them feel like a man. Yeah, and like I said, it's in everyone to some degree, every man to some degree, but some men want that. But I'm saying, if that's all that he is to you, then he's going to see you in a minimalized way as well, and therefore, man's not gonna. He's gonna do his thing because you don't value him to his full extent.
Yeah.
Because he might have the finances all patterned up, but he's also a loving, caring, and a man who really loves his woman and does what he can for her, and she can rely on him. And if that's all discounted,
what I would say, and this is supported by studies though, is that, so I heard someone else talking about this, and they were saying their idea of provision, and this is the bit of provision I would agree with, is that you are removing financial stress from the household. Because if a woman is under financial stress, she's in a partnership, but she's feeling the financial pressure, the financial stress, she moves into a more masculine energy. And then that husband can't expect that softer feminine side, because by nature of what's happening with the financial stress, she's moving into a more masculine energy, and thus the consequence is the loss of that. So I think where maybe he has a point is that an expectation from a man that a woman's going to be soft and feminine and nurturing and rare-tear can only run where there isn't necessarily that financial stress. So maybe that is important for a man to be able to keep financial stress out of the relationship. However, I do think if the financial stress is incurred because you can take a 5-star holiday, you had to go 3-star. Like,
well, I think,
do you know what I mean? Like, come on.
That's whether in a relationship or you're by yourself. If you're not living within your means, financial stress will come. It's going to creep in. So and as a partnership, you shouldn't be trying to make your relationship, your partnership, your partner live outside of their means.
No.
Because
that's stress for everyone.
You should be building up together, not stretching them, so that way whatever's planned can't be executed because you're too busy trying to live here when you're still here.
Yeah,
that's mad.
I think that's stress for everybody.
I saw someone else talking about it as well, some woman, and she was saying that women are wanting this from men, that to provide financially to this high level, old school ways, like providing the old school ways but to new standards. But they aren't taking the role, the old school
The
role,
traditional role.
the traditional role, which
Yeah.
traditionally was cook, clean, look after the house, children.
So
They want to do
they
their
wanna do it
thing,
two
new
ways.
school, but they want the man on the old school thing. But they're cussing when the man can't deliver on that, but you're not prepared to do that. I'm not saying that's her opinion, but I'm just saying there's a disparity on expectations being held to
And I
each
guess,
person.
and that's always what we've said about relationships. For me, the key to a successful relationship is alignment. So if, you've both agreed, I'm the traditional man, I'm going to provide, then realistically, a lot of the time, I'm assuming in his mind, the assumption will be, and then you'll mirror me with traditionality. So if that doesn't happen, then there's cause for conflict as well. I don't know. I think, look, if what you want is a man that can provide that big time lifestyle, then that's where you've got to focus your energy. But I think it's very difficult, if you're not surrounded by those basically millionaire, really super high earning men, to come and bring those expectations to your average, or like I said, even above average earning men. I think that's very difficult. I think it's too much pressure. And I think that there is this huge risk that you're missing really good partners in the spirit of looking for financial upkeep that is perhaps not even that realistic.
Well, you need the reality check, because the reality check is when you're measuring by social media, that looks like that's real life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no one's living that life, but in reality, it's the few versus the many. Yeah. And are you even operating like that as the other person in the vision? Are you bringing in the mashing peas like that to put that expectation on your household?
Because that would be different. Yeah, I guess if you're
then you pick someone on your level.
Yeah, 100%.
mean?
Like, so I saw someone saying that is like dating within your price range, and that I get. If I come in as a millionaire woman, so now I've got a millionaire lifestyle, then I couldn't necessarily look to a man who couldn't match that lifestyle. But then I guess that's where you would focus your energy. You wouldn't necessarily be bringing that pressure to someone who earns £60,000.
But the problem is,
because then I just don't see how that level of pressure can create a happy relationship.
Because on social media makes it look like it's everyone. I'm saying,
I think that's the problem.
You're out in the world going on like this bare man.
Like everyone's doing that.
Is doing that. And it's not saying they're less of a man because they aren't, but I'm saying they might be building to it. Or they just might not, they might have hit their ceiling at the moment and therefore that's where they're at. But the majority aren't mashing the most amount of money in terms of like this extraordinary amounts. But that is the pool. That's the main pool.
This is it.
So
I think
it's straight for men. I feel sorry for the men. Like I said, we on the run.
But then men shouldn't succumb to it. Though.
No, but it's a.
Isn't that the point? Isn't a lot of men these days pretending to have that sort of money and thus putting that pressure on themselves?
But they are. It's a.
You've got to be honest.
The marketplace of women. That's the expectation.
I wonder if it is, and that's another question. Is like, is this a social media? Like on the ground, are all the women seeking relationships? Like, if you're not mashing, or if you're not able to provide me this lifestyle, that if you actually did the maths on these lifestyles, we are talking someone needs to be earning probably upwards of 150k. If they were the sole earner, upwards of 150k. To be honest, maybe even more, depending on where you live. Like, are we literally saying women are encountering men like that, or only looking for men like that, and when they encounter men that aren't like that, say nah? Like, is that actually happening on the ground? Because that's wild.
You let us know, but
it's mad. I just think, like, is anyone looking? Do I live in the past in my head where like people's looking for a relationship with people that they actually liked, wanted to spend time with, like, get a bit of chemistry, or is that where we are now? Like, it's just finance. I really do worry that people are missing up on like top tier partnership because you're just focused on money, and that would be cool if the majority of people earned that type of money. But if they don't, madness. I think you've got to broaden your horizons a bit. And I'm not saying don't find someone who can provide financially, because like I said, I actually agree with this point, that even me with you, whenever we've been in like financial, that's like the only thing we ever even argue about is finance. And to be honest, and I would call myself like, what would be the word? I'm quite ambitious. I am quite traditional as well, but no, like ambitious or whatever. I'm about getting my own money. But when it's got peak, I'm like, Tony, wagwan. So I think that is normal, and I think that's quite natural.
I'm saying, as a man, before you even say wagwan, I'm like, I need to pattern this up before it becomes a problem in the home.
Yeah.
So I've already got that burden on my shoulders. But what would make it more mad is if that burden was increased because the wagwan is about something that, you know, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lifestyle that we're working towards and we're not there yet. You want me to deliver on it?
Yeah.
It's all good for goals in that, but
Also, I did read some studies on this. There isn't actually any like concrete evidence that situation where a man is providing all the money actually leads to a happier relationship. What it does say is that reduced stress can create happier relationships. But actually, you might have stress with other things. That's what I mean when I say that can't be the only caveat, the only factor.
that's what I'm saying though. But
because whilst there might be elements of being provided for, especially to a high standard, really, really good, there are all these other things that in reality, if we're going to have a relationship, have to be in place. Like, yeah, you got money, you're buying me nice things, but you don't want to spend time with me. We don't actually even really vibe. We don't kick it like that. What's the point of that? You're not funny. You got no jokes. You got money, but you're dry. Like, what's the point of that? Or you got money, but you're cheating. Now, because you think I'm just here for money, or as long as I've got money, I'm good. You're out doing your thing. Like, there's just so many other factors. And I think for me, in my opinion, if I was advising like any like my single friends or people seeking relationships, I'd be like, man, cool with the financial provision for sure. I get what you're saying, but come on, can we look at a few other factors? Can we not? I'm not saying you want to go out with a guy who's got no ambition, or you know, like some men do not have a spirit of provision. So fine, we can box them, man. But I'm talking about those other people. They are hardworking, but yes, they're not millionaires. They don't have, you know, jobs that 2% of people have. I think that we have to be a bit more reasonable. I think we're a bit more. I definitely with what that guy's saying, and I don't know him. I don't know his situation, his marriage. But come on, man, drop me out. Drop me out with that.
You let us know
that is
what
not a
you
translation.
think, in the comments below. Yeah, do you think that this spirit provision has gone out of control, or you think it's justified? Men need to be stepping up to the plate, and that is the plate of 2025 going on to 2026. The bar has risen, cost of limits increased. Men just need to double down and stop complaining and come with the cash, or do we need to operate more like a team and understand where we're at as a partnership and grow to the level that we want to be at? Let us know, yeah?